beat yourself up a little bit over the third and fourth down calls that led to that long drive for A&M. Do you go through that? How much have you gone through that in the last few days? Do you try to flush it, or you
Yeah, no, it's a coaching decision within the game. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, I think you can view it both ways. I think ultimately that's what we try to do. The analytics were very aggressive at that point, given the number of possessions that you could potentially have. Probably looking at 3 possessions. We're at midfield. We're a play away from being in scoring position. So, I think at that point in time, the number was aggressive. We went with the numbers. Do you punt them deep? I think the big thing would be the 3rd down, 2-down approach. We have to execute better on that play. Yeah. And then I think, that's the coaching decision of the game, right? So I do think you always evaluate those when they don't go the way you want them to. We've made those decisions in the past and they paid off. Sometimes they don't, so ultimately it comes down to the execution. You're going to be kicking yourself if you punt it and you get a bad hop and it's a touchback, right? So you think back to last year at Ole Miss, we were in a very similar situation. We punted them deep and it worked out. Right? We pinned them on the 7-yard line. We got the ball back at midfield and made something of it. So I think those are the ones that
thought this translator was another scam. Now I want another one. My experience with the Indians translator, honestly.
Always you think about it as a coach, and I think they can go both ways.
Your own line goes from a near perfect game against Texas to a not so great game against A&M. Was it their scheme that was different, or just a bad day at the office by your guys?
Yeah, 1-for-ones. I think we our issue was we struggled to run it. Even when we're in advantage plays, where we've got a hat for a hat. I think good front. And I think in general, we need to be a little more precise at running back. And then there's individual matchups. We played from behind the sticks, and we're throwing runs up in there into light boxes. They're doubling receivers, and we're, it's 2nd and 8. We're at 2nd and 7. Or we're throwing it and we're struggling to protect, or the quarterback's getting hurried, or it's a sack. I do think that inefficiency on 1st and 2nd down led to play in 3rd and long, and those are tough days at the office. I mean, A&M had 11 3rd downs that were 5 or less. They were 9 for 11. They had 6 that were 6+, and they were 0 for 6, right? So, the numbers are always against you once it gets above 6, 7+, much less 12, So we had a handful of penalties, and then we had too many negative plays, too many inefficient runs against light boxes. They loaded the box early, and we threw it outside the corners, and then they started doubling those guys and mixing in some post-safety zone. So, in general, those are your typical week-to-week matchups. You gotta win your fair share.
Fourth down call. You guys had Eugene and Purnell as your inside receivers, and Dallas Wilson as your right outside receiver. With it being 4th and 6, why not go with Sturdivant in that situation as the other outside receiver instead of a tight end?